You used to call me on my cell phone, late night when you need my love. Call me on my cell phone.
Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you're tuning in. Today I'm going to be showing you guys a hair tutorial, actually for this look that I have right now. Box braids, Poetic Justic braids, what do you call it? Solange braids, whatever you want to call them. I guess is what I'm about to show you guys. Now when I do mine, I don't like them to go like all the way down to my buttocks, so these are halves, but you see it goes down to about the middle of my back. And this was a relatively quick install. Usually I do my braids bigger, smaller than this size and more of them, and but I usually just take like a Saturday and don't do work the whole day. But this time I don't have any free time, so I ended up doing it in the middle of the week. I worked all day and then I stopped working at 5 and started doing my hair around 6 or probably closer to 7. And it took me less than 5 hours in one day, about 3.5 hours one day, or 4.5 hours, sorry, and then 1 hour the next day. So like a total of 5.5 hours. It's a very quick hairstyle if you want box braids. Some box braids can take you a whole lot longer than 5.5 hours. If you want to see how I did this, definitely stick around. So talk about what you're gonna need. So you're gonna need some type of braiding hair. It doesn't have to be very expensive. These are $2.99 a pack. It's just the 100% premium soft Kanakalan. I have a comb for parting and a comb for detangling if need be. Some scissors for making sure that the hair is cut in half. Some shea butter just to add some moisture to my roots as I go. In a spray bottle in case my hair gets a little bit dry. So I had deep conditioned my hair that morning, and I got up early so I could do it before school, and then I ended up just wearing my hair in twists the whole day underneath a beanie. So here I'm just taking those twists back down so that I can just kind of get out any kinks that may have resulted from me having them in during the day. So it's not a full detangling process, but it's just making sure my hair, it's just easier to work with while I'm braiding. So I'm taking down all the twists and then I'm just going to detangle and prep my hair for braiding. So I'm just parting across the bottom, and you can see it's not very even. That's okay. And the size of one section for a braid, about a 1-inch area. So cut the hair in half, and then pick out a pretty thick chunk of hair, and then I like to lay it on my lap and just kind of pull at the ends so that they have a more natural looking tip, and do that until you can't see any black edges. And then just take my 2 strands and using the same method that I used in my fluffy twist video, just twist the hair so that it's a little bit easier to work with. It won't keep sliding through your fingers. And I'm going to show you guys a little bit later in the video how I start the braid off. It's very similar to the fluffy twist video, in the sense that you just, the methodology for installing the braided part is the same way, except you're going to braid all the way to the tip here as opposed to just braiding an inch. So I'm just going to repeat that same process across my whole head. And you'll see I don't put very many braids in the back. And I forgot to show this on the first braid, but add the shea butter and then start braiding it in. But you can see that there's not that many braids in the back. I think I got about 4 braids in that back row, and maybe another 4 or 5 in the second row, which is part of the reason why this hairstyle didn't take me very long to do. But you can adjust the size of your hair sections as much or as little as you want to. Like I said, usually I do them a lot smaller than this, but for time's sake I did much larger parts.
I don't need a boyfriend, so you can't go back. Please enjoy your party. I'll be here.
Also, you can always choose to do more boxy parting. I like the more natural look by doing finger parting and using my comb only to like get rid of some of those really stubborn strands. But if you like to have a neater, quote unquote neater look, you can always use a lot more straight lines with your parting. But that's really not my forte. You'll rarely find that in any of my videos. Okay, so I ran out of hair, you guys. So I ended up wearing I braided up that small section into 2 braids and put the hair in a ponytail for the day. But now that I'm back at it, the hair is pretty dry, so I just go over it with some water, a few spritz here, just enough to dampen my hair slightly. I don't want it soaking wet. And then I continue the same process I was using before, where I'm taking shea butter and then I'm gonna go ahead and start braiding it. So I'm gonna slow it down for you guys in a second, but notice how depending on the direction I want the braid to face, I make sure that's the direction I'm braiding the hair in. So if it's supposed to be in the back of my head, I braided it towards the back. The braids in the front are braided coming forward. So the way you're gonna start the braid is similar to in a fluffy twist video. The double strands are between your thumb, your ring finger, and your pinky. This one single strand is between your pointer and middle on your right hand, and the other is between the pointer and middle on your left hand. And then I'm splitting my hair in half such that half of the hair is in my left hand and half is between the point and the middle with a single strand on my right hand. And then I just start braiding that in just like that. And then once again, braiding that all the way down to the tip. So since I had ran out of hair and had to wear the hair that day, I did not hot water dip my hair. So some of the strands had started to come apart over the course of the day. So here I'm just going through and checking for those strands that started to come apart, as well as checking for any braids that maybe I got lackluster with and the braids weren't as neat as I would have liked. And I'm just going through and fixing those braids. There are about maybe 8 or 10 that I wound up fixing. Some of which were just they had started coming apart, and then some of them I just didn't like the way they looked. I didn't redo any braids from the root though. So now that I've finished doing that, we're gonna go ahead and dip them. So I just fill a kettle completely with hot water, bring that water to a boil, and then I like to pour my water into a large pot. I think this is a 6-quart pot. Just fill that pot up with water, try and get it as close to the top as possible, which for me was the whole kettle of water. And then I put a towel over my shoulders because the water is hot and freshly boiling, which is the best time to use it, and I didn't want that hair touching my shoulders. So go ahead and dip the hair in the water. I like to do it all at one time. And you'll notice I start with my left side of my head and I'm rotating here so I can make sure that everything on the right side of my head was properly dipped. And then as I remove my head from the water, I'm just squeezing with the towel to wring it out a bit, and then I let it kind of air dry a little bit and cool off. And then after it felt a little bit cooler, then I could work with it and allow it to touch my shoulders and such. And so here I'm just towel drying and getting as much of the moisture out as possible. It's not going to be completely dry, but you just want as much as possible. And so it's still damp here. My hands are wet, but that's okay. So to go to bed, I'm just using a satin scarf, a square satin scarf that's folded and triangularly tied onto my head like a bandana. And I tie it pretty tight so that it holds at the front of my head. And then I'm taking this bonnet that has an open back, and I'm going to be wearing that on top of the satin scarf. Now, I like to use this bonnet when I do braids because then I can wear any size braids and still have a bonnet on top. But this one can be tied up to close the bonnet. However, the reason I didn't want to wear it that way at this point was because my hair was wet and I wanted my ends to stay straight. So I didn't wear it like this to go to bed, but you can if you like. So even though my bonnet's tied here, it wasn't tied overnight. I left it open. And now I'm just styling, so I'm just gonna pull some to the side, and like usual, I'm going to wind up pinning. It was much too tight for me to ponytail. So this is the finished look, and I hope you guys like it. I really like it. Like I said, it was really fast to put in, a really quick install. At least for me, I usually do like 8 to 10 hour hairstyles. So a 5-hour hairstyle is really fast for me for braids, considering you have to braid it all the way down to the end. But I'm really happy with the outcome. And I'm actually going to be going to a Janet Jackson concert this evening, and we're going to see how I'm going to play around with these to style my hair for this evening. So be looking out for a video that goes into the styling details for the Janet Jackson concert, which I'm so looking forward to. But yeah, that's it. If you guys have any questions about any of the products that I use or about how I did any of the styling, definitely comment below. Any other information I'll definitely include in the description box, and I listed all the materials at the beginning, and that pretty much covers everything. So don't forget to like and hit that thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe, and once again, don't forget to comment down below. And if you ended up doing this hairstyle, let me know how it turned out for you. Yeah, so I'm really happy that you guys tuned in. I really appreciate the love and I appreciate the views. And I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.